Hey everyone, welcome back to the Photobooth Supply Co YouTube channel. My name's Cameron with the Photobooth Supply Co success team, and I'm here again with Catalina from Modern Photobooth. Today we're going to be talking all about green screen. Green screens are, I think it's probably one of the more underutilized features in Salsa, honestly, and it has
Oh, it,
so many possibilities with it. So,
yeah, it's huge in many ways. Like not even just for like corporate stuff, but it also opens up your ability to have step and repeats and like
yeah.
you know bigger, cooler backgrounds. And I'm going to show you guys. Well, I don't know if I can show you. I might have to post the video later, but I'm going to talk about a couple of tricks that you can do that are really, really cool with green screen. That will really take like your green screen experience for your clients like that step further than just replacing their background.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when you take it to that next step, I mean, you can already charge more for green screen, without a doubt, and you should be charging more for it. And we'll get into that a little bit. But when you take it to that next step and you start doing these little tricks that we're going to show you, I mean, that is really it's a whole different thing on its own. So,
Yeah.
to get started, what we're going to do is we're going to show you guys first how to set up green screen. So if you're new to Salsa or you haven't maybe played around with green screen quite yet, we're going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys here. And then after I show you guys how that works, we will jump over to Catalina and we'll kind of do what we did last week in last week's live stream. And we'll have her kind of show you guys some ways to use it. So
Yep.
setting up green screen is surprisingly, I mean, I shouldn't say surprisingly, but it's very, very easy to do. I think a lot of times people kind of get caught up on the fact that it sounds a lot more complicated than it is, but it's really pretty simple. It's almost like everything in Salsa. So I'm just going to be using this event that I used in a couple live streams ago. And to set it up, you essentially just go to the configure event button. You tap on event capture settings where you find the modes and filters and glam and all that good stuff. And then if you click on green screen, this is where you're going to see all of the settings for it. And you can actually see here, I have a photo uploaded. And so what this is going to do, just like what you can see in Catalina's camera, you see that she has a green screen set up. So in the photo at the end result is going to replace that green backdrop with whatever photo or video you upload. So it can be, like I said, either a photo or a video if you want to have some sort of animated backdrop, especially if you're talking like wintertime. People did some really cool ones with like snowflakes falling and stuff like that over the holiday season. So once you have the photo you want to use, it's really, again, really easy. You just click add green screen here. You can upload your own, or you can also use any of the included designs that we have here. You'll probably recognize a lot of these. These are all from the tap to start screen and background screen library, and you can actually use these for your green screen as well. So if there's something you want to use that's in here, like the sparkles or any of like the neon colors, a lot of these are really cool and work really well with green screen. Perfect. Yeah, my sound's good. Awesome.
Yeah, sure sounds good. I actually asked this time
Perfect.
because last time I couldn't even hear you in the video. I heard you perfectly. Like you're really loud in my head right now, but
Yeah, I know. That's the
not on
thing.
the
It's
video.
it's so weird. I don't know what changed. Like, I swear, guys, I haven't changed anything in any of the live streams, but whatever. Tech just doesn't really want to be my friend recently, I guess. So, and yeah, like what Kat said, if you guys have any questions as we go through this, or there's something that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, just let us know in the chat. We'd also love to hear where you're watching us from. It's always interesting to see who's tuned in, and we'll be keeping an eye on the chat throughout the live stream. So that's pretty much it. You just really choose your design. Like I said, I already have one uploaded, but if I wanted to, I could choose one of these, and you can have more than one option available as well. And that's really it. It's pretty straightforward to do on the salsa side of things. It's,
Yep.
you're not really going to see anything until the end result, but setting it up is really pretty easy, at least on salsa's end. But there are a couple things that you want to be sure of when you're actually setting up the physical green screen. And Kat, I'll let you talk a little bit about some of those things, like lights
Yeah.
and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So one thing I do want to point out in the app, and Cameron, you won't really be able to show them this because it's only available on the iOS version. And I'm tempted to unplug my laptop so I can show you guys this. Actually, I'm going to do that. I'm going to plug it back in a minute. But what's really cool about green screen, and one of the biggest things that causes issues with green screen, as you can tell, my lighting is really bad over here, but is that you have to make sure that you have the right green screen color. So let me turn this light on. So
I'm actually going to
I have,
transition over to the full screen of Catalina, guys. So I'll still be here. You can still hear me. I'm just that floating voice like last week. That way everybody can really get a good idea of what it is that you're doing.
yes. And sorry, I know I kind of said I wasn't going to do this, but I don't think there's any other way to show it. And this is really important. Really, really important. And I should have cleaned the other side of my office, clearly, because it's not camera ready. But, all right. So on the app, you actually have these settings. Let me get this in here. So these settings here, this is the most important thing that you're going to do. You're going to click on this green circle, and you're going to notice that this picture is going to come up and the lights are going to turn on. So this is your green screen with your lighting. You want to make sure that when you do this, what you're doing right now is you're telling Salsa app, this is the exact color I want it to remove. And you'll notice that it doesn't just have to be green. I can actually select the black and it would actually remove black. So you can use any color of green screen. Now, green screen is generally used because less people wear this horrendous color of green, or at least traditionally. Nowadays, I feel like more people actually wear this and pull it off. But anyways, so what you're going to do is just on the picture, click the middle of your green screen, and that's it. Now you have the perfect green screen on there. Now, if you find that your images aren't coming out super crisp, you can move your tolerance, but I've never touched it. And honestly, doing it this way really gets the perfect green color. And that is the most important step that you guys need to do when you're doing green screen, is to make sure that you have the right green. So a lot of people use the default green that is already in there. And then that's when you get that like weird sandiness along the side, almost like it looks like there's like noise on it, or like, I don't know how to texture, right?
Yeah.
So
it like clips in and
sure
out almost.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So that's super important. Now I'm going to put my laptop back down, and then we're going to talk about extra lighting. And we're also going to talk about how you want to set up your booth and your backdrop. The other part that's really important about green screen is background separation. So I know we talk about distance a lot in the Facebook group, like make sure that, you know, your booth is close to your backdrop. We generally say between like 3 and 4 feet is ideal. Now with green screen, you have to set it up a little bit farther back, but you have to get your subjects to stand a little bit closer, because you want to make sure that you have separation between the backdrop so that you're not casting any shadows, because shadows means that you're getting a darker shade of green. And that's when you're going to start getting like that bad removal around the people because of the shadow. So to help with that, you want to have these stick lights. And I know we talked about these stick lights yesterday, or not yesterday.
Feels like yesterday.
Like it was yesterday. Yeah. It does. Last week when we were talking about doing virtual booth in person, so versatile, very, very versatile lights. You can use them in a bunch of different situations, but for green screen, they're really important. So I'm actually going to move the second one that I was using as my light for my video. And I'm going to show you guys how we set them up when we're doing a green screen. So the traditional way that we set them up is literally just next to the booth, so that we're getting, and they're on a little bit of an angle. So you'll notice like it's almost like on a 45-degree angle that you want to put it on, so that if there are any shadows when you're standing here, and I can't actually see myself right now, so I just need to turn on the photo app so that I can actually see myself. You want to make sure that you don't actually have any shadows that are being cast on the actual background. So right now I have a bit of a shadow over here. I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but that just means that my light on this side actually is doing very well, but it doesn't seem to actually be affecting the green screen removal. So if I stand here, what I see in this photo booth right now, actually there's no shadows. So you'll notice that I'm about 2 feet away from the photo booth. I could probably fit 3 people right now in this view, but I'm also about 2 feet away from the backdrop. So that's super important. And you can always bring your lights closer if you need to. But your main goal is to always get rid of any shadows that are on the backdrop. Some people prefer to just light the backdrop rather than lighting the people. So they'll actually just make sure that the entire backdrop is lit. But you can get really advanced with green screen removal. The nice thing about Salsa app and doing it with the Salsa booth is that it's very forgiving, unlike traditional green screen, which was not forgiving at all. So you want to definitely make sure you have this extra lighting because it's going to be a game changer for any of your green screen that you are going to be doing in the future.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And really that's it. Like that's as complicated as it gets with Salsa to do green screen, because it is significantly easier to do it with Salsa app than it is, like I said, back in the day, when we only had DSLR booths, you know, like it was a struggle to get the right green. Like you literally had to do trial and error. You would take a photo and then what we did, take a photo, we would then drop it into Photoshop, use the droplet, get the exact hex number, put that into the photo booth. Like, come on. Yeah. This is so much easier.
Yeah, it's super, super easy to do. And the thing about it too is if you're worried about, you know, like what Kat was saying with the distance between the backdrop and the actual booth, you can always mark on the ground too, you know, put a little piece of tape. That way people know exactly where they're going to stand, especially if it is like a drop off or anything like that, where maybe you can't necessarily instruct people. But a lot of times, like if it doesn't work, a lot of times it's just positioning, whether it's of the actual people or of the lights. So just having that really nice, even lighting. Obviously, you can always come back and watch this video when you're actually doing a green screen if you've never done one before. But on our support site, and I'll actually link that in the chat as well, we have a little a visual of how you should set up the lights. So if you're ever kind of confused or you don't remember how you should set up the lights, we do have that visual on our support site. And like I said, I'll make sure to link that in the chat for you guys as well. And that's kind of the basics of having a green screen. Now, like we were talking about before, there's some really pretty cool things you can do with the green screen that aren't necessarily so basic, but are still very easy to do. So Kat, I'll kind of let you talk about those. You can show us if you have a green screen to show us with, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, so remember how I told you I was moving that really heavy mirror off of my other green screen? I didn't do that. It's still on the floor. But I will explain to you guys what it is. So there's some really cool things that you can do with green screen, because you have to remember that green screen is going to, or like this function will remove anything that's green. So it doesn't have to be the background. It can actually be the foreground. So for example, you can actually have two green screens and you can like put them, let me show you, like this, where people can kind of pop out of the side and it's going to look like half their body's missing. And then you can put whatever you want in front of it, right? Another one is just having a piece of green cardboard. So one photo booth that I have always wanted to do, I'm giving a secret away here because I haven't been able to do it yet, but it would be to like have a prize hidden in a green screen. So you would have a normal backdrop or a wall or whatever, and then you give somebody like a green card, and that green card, they have to move it around until they find the object, because the green screen is going to remove the green card, right? And you're going to show like a magic image in there. So they have to find, like they have like whatever 5 seconds to find the prize within the image, and if they find it, then and at the end of it they take a picture, then they win like that prize or something like that.
That's a really cool idea. That's really cool,
right? Yeah. I really wish I had someone to do it with.
Maybe somebody in the Facebook group can do it.
Do that. Yeah, if anyone does that, please show me in the Facebook group, because I will be very jealous, but I also really want to see how it gets, like how it's received by everyone. But like there's just a lot of things. So you can actually even have a green screen wall in the front, right? And then that will remove the front and it'll also remove the back. Or you could have like a green screen couch, right? So we did one test where we wanted to make it look like people were flying. So it was going to be like a green pillar in the middle, and people would just kind of like lay on that and hold their arms out, and it would remove everything around them. Yeah. And it would look like they were flying. And then we could, with the video backgrounds, you can actually have that motion of like the clouds going back, right? So it actually really looks like they're flying. And then if you really want to get crazy, start doing cool stuff with your overlay, you know, like make it multi-dimensional and add movement. And that's where you're going to really get into that really cool creative stuff that you can do with green screen. It's not just like, you know, adding a fun backdrop.
And it totally could be, right? But when you start doing these creative things and you really, like Kat said, you know, add those extra movements and you incorporate it with the overlay, you're not just providing a green screen anymore. Now you're providing a whole different experience than what a traditional green screen really is. And charging for that, I think we always talk about it, that is one of the most common questions with anything we talk about on our live streams, right, is how much can I charge for this? Because people want to know that. So how much do you charge for green screen?
It depends. I mean, again, it depends on how extreme like the setup is. If it was just like a green screen like this, we'll charge an additional $250 on there because it does require skill. You still have to fine tune stuff, you know.
Extra lights, extra batteries, setup,
all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the batteries. So those batteries that I have on there, I think we talked about this again last week, but those batteries only last 45 minutes. So I have this ginormous, super heavy box that we need to take to all of our events when we use them, because they also take 6 hours to charge. So, you know, you have to have a lot of them or plug it in, but who really wants all those wires, right? So there's the extra equipment. So it starts at $250 for us to do the green screen. And that's like a basic background remover, or maybe we're doing like a fake step and repeat. They didn't want to, you know, pay the full price for a custom backdrop, but the step and repeat is a good option for them. So $250. And then something elaborate like the hidden thing, you know, like that takes a lot of design, that takes a lot of like figuring out timing, that kind of stuff.
Trial and
something
error.
Like that would be something like that would be a little bit more custom, probably around the like $850 mark, maybe up to even like $1,000 extra, depending on how much more design we need to do.
Right.
And one thing that people don't really think about is where they're getting the image for green screen, right? You can't Google and take whatever you want off Google. I'm sorry, guys, don't do that, please. I know a lot of people do, and that's not okay. And it only takes getting caught once to ruin it for like yourself for the rest of your life, because depends who you take it from. But nowadays there's a lot of photographers who they don't care anymore. They just send you an invoice, and if you don't pay it, they send you to collections, and guess what? They're probably going to win because they own the copyright for that image. So there's a lot of free sites you can go to. There's Pixabay. There's what's the other one?
Unsplash, I believe.
Unsplash, thank you.
Yep.
Those ones have tons of great free stock photography that you can use for
and
your
high
background.
quality stuff too. That's the other bit part of it. Like I was showing you guys when I was showing the screen that like the Japanese inspired one, that is actually from Unsplash, and it's a super high quality photo, and it's, you know, it's free. So just like Kat said, just really be careful where you're getting your photos from, because you can charge extra for it, but you don't want to, you know, you're going to have to charge a lot more if you get taken to court for it. So, so much. And a lot of these sites, like even if you buy it off like Shutterstock or something like that, it's usually like $25 for an image. And you can like download the watermarked one to test it out before you actually purchase the image. Send it to your client for approval, that kind of stuff, and then purchase it. Or ask your client to provide you with an image that they own and they have the rights to, and have them confirm that in writing. From experience, please. Or, you know, in writing or some sort of agreement that they have. A lot of times when you buy these stock images, you usually get like a PDF or something that shows that you have the rights to the photo and things like, almost like when you work with a photographer, right? And they give you the release form, and in case you ever go to like Walgreens to try to get copies made, like you can provide that if they ask, you know. So just something like that, just to be on the safe side. You know, you don't want to ruin it for yourself, as cool as it might be. So
we have a question here. Robert asks, do you have to turn off the Salsa booth light to take pictures of the green screen? No, you should always have the Salsa booth light on. So you always want to have the Salsa booth light on like pretty much full. I don't think I've ever turned it off of full. And then have the lights are just there to fill any shadows that you might have. Or to even out the backdrop for you, because you have to set up the booth so much farther away from the backdrop. It's not lighting it evenly anymore, especially if you're in a dark room. Like it's kind of hard to tell here because I have this ginormous window, garage door window, so it's hard to tell. But normally you wouldn't have the entire backdrop lit up just by Salsa, so that's why you need the extra 2 lights. But yes, Salsa light on is also going to fill the person's face to make sure that they get separated from the background properly. And give them proper exposure. And then you want your other 2 lights are more for the backdrop than they are for the person.
And I mean, this kind of goes off topic. We talked about it a little bit last week, but same thing. If you ever are in a situation, even if it's not a backdrop, where you want to have the booth a little bit further away from the subject or from the guest than you might normally have it, having those extra lights is always a good idea as well. Just makes it a little bit more even, makes the photo look a little bit nicer, especially when you are working with an iPad, right? The newer iPads, they have really great cameras and everything, but it's still an iPad, right? So you want to make sure you have that light mixed with, some custom camera settings and things like that. So
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, and the
look, we
salsa
got
booth
Charlie
was
too.
meant to be a salsa booth. Hey, Charlie. Yeah, the salsa booth was meant to be a selfie style booth. It's
Right,
not meant to be the photo booth for group photos. Like,
right.
you can still do it, but you need a lot of extra light for that. And it's all
Yeah,
about the lighting. Lighting is going to be the most important thing to
yeah,
get the best photos out of your salsa booth or any other photo booth or camera, period. Like even
yeah,
your iPhone,
yeah,
or phone. Not everyone has iPhone.
yeah, yeah. Although it seems like it, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But the other thing too, and this is obviously true with any photo booth you ever offer, anything you ever offer to any client ever, test it out. But it's especially true with green screen. Test it
Hmm.
out ahead of time and really know going in what you're dealing with light wise. If you're going to be
Yeah.
doing like a wedding reception, for example, find out what the lighting conditions are going to be like. What's the light in the room going to be like? What's the light outside going to be like? If you're doing a green screen at 10 p.m., you're going to need a lot more light than if you're doing a green screen in a studio like Cat's, right now, where you have that extra
Hmm.
outdoor light that really helps light everything up. So just really test it out. Make sure going in, I mean, this again should apply to any photo booth you offer, any service
Hmm.
you offer, but really especially true with the green screen because it is so dependent on having that nice even light.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. And like I said before, it doesn't have to be green. You
Yeah,
can use pink. The
yeah,
other side of this is a blue chroma, right? And so
yeah.
this is the Photoboost. Can't even talk. This is the Photobooth Supply Co. Atlas backdrop. So one side is green, one
Mhm.
side is blue. But I've used like any of the other Atlas backdrops. That's
Yeah,
pretty much what we have here is Atlas backdrops. So I mean, I've used the fuchsia pink before. We've
yeah,
used like any of the other like bluey colors that maybe it's like a teal or whatever.
yeah.
And like you saw, you can select other colors. So we've actually played around with it where we like select our own skin color and then it removes our skin and replaces that with the backdrop, which
That's
kind of
too
makes
funny.
for a really cool effect.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just, goes to show you there's a lot of different options with green screen. Yeah. Charlie says, don't use green screen on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, I was
Perfect
just gonna say
example.
that. Yeah, think a little bit about the color. I mean, even for a holiday party, I mean, if you're going
Yep.
green and red, you're kind of getting into some weird territory. If you're doing like, I don't know, a deer hunting convention, don't use bright orange. I don't know, but just really kind of that's another thing too. When you're asking your client about lighting and trying to figure out the lighting of the venue, also find out. I mean, you should already know, right, what type of an event it is. But if there's like any sort of, crazy dress code or anything like that, keep that in mind too, just in case.
Yep. And it always happens. There's always like that one person that wears the same color as your backdrop and like they end up being like a ghost. Like this
Yeah,
whole section of their
just their
body
head
is gone and
floating.
they're just like arms. Yeah. Arms and head.
Floating head and arms.
Yep.
That's funny. We have
But
another
as
question.
oh yeah.
Yeah, from Lauren. So how do you advertise green screen? And I mean, this is kind of
See, this is a
similar.
hard one.
It's kind of similar
Yeah,
to how
it's
you would
hard.
advertise anything, but it is a little bit different.
Yeah, it's hard to explain to your clients what green
Yeah.
screen is. And also it's hard to make it look pretty, right? Because
Yeah.
this looks great, it looks clean, but it's still a giant green screen. So I think that for our clients generally, they come to us already knowing that they want
Yeah.
green screen. And this is something that would be a really good like reel, for example, where you
Hmm.
like record like this is what it looks like before, and then you like transition
Yeah.
to a photo of the after. You kind of have to show that visual. And I think actually there was one Photobooth Supply Co. email that came out that talked about green screen, and it had a really great photo
Hmm.
where it was like the capture screen from Salsa
Yeah.
app, which was half green screen and then half
Mm,
was the new backdrop. So,
to really show it off.
I
Yeah.
think, I think for green screen, it really needs to have a dedicated page on your website if this is something that you really want to market. And again,
Yeah.
there's so many different ways because I know some people who own photo booth companies that literally don't have backdrops; they just
Yeah.
have green screen, and then they just program in whatever backdrop you want into the green screen. So
Yeah.
like they don't have to market it, right? Because
Yeah.
that's just what they do. There's no option to not have it, right?
Right.
But if you're like a multi-service photo booth and you want to market green screen, I would make a separate like page on your website that helps explain what green screen is to people. And then that way, when you have clients that come to you and say like, oh, how can we do this or something, and you want to be like, we should do green screen, you can just direct them to the page, or you can also make a proposal. The proposals in Salsa app do have the green screen function on there as well. That does explain it. So just turn everything else off, turn on templates, turn on green screen, and then send them that proposal that will have that explanation.
Yeah, that works. And two, I would probably just focus more on the after result of it, because especially if it's somebody who maybe doesn't understand it, right? Because what they're going to see is they're going to see this big green backdrop, and like Kat was saying, it's not always the prettiest thing in the world. I mean, it's a very clean setup, don't get me wrong, but I mean, depending on the theme of the event.
Imagine it at a wedding.
Yeah,
like a wedding that's like all like white flowers, everything.
Beautiful, like very themed, and all of a sudden you have this bright green, you know, it looks like you almost have like a movie studio in the middle of the wedding. So you know, make sure they know about that, obviously, so that they know what it's going to look like going into it, but that also might be one of those situations where maybe you want to change it up with a different, brighter color, maybe one that goes a little bit better. I mean, green is a nice color, but it's also a very can be a very jarring color when we're talking about the green backdrop, for sure. I would definitely, I mean, if it was a wedding, I would probably do like, I would even do like a nice blue. A blue to me, for some reason, just seems less like bright. Less like, it's less like I said, less jarring almost than having a bright green one. I don't think we have any other questions. Oh, Daryl said LumaCube makes pretty good lighting panels as well. I've never actually used one. Have you used LumaCube's ones?
So I actually got to play with the prototype before it was ever launched, and like the first WPBI that I ever went to. And I haven't tried it since then, but it was like blindingly bright when I tried it back when it was still like a prototype. But I mean, there's a lot of different lights you can get, right? Like these are just like easy to transport, and they're very bright. These are the Yuango lights that pretty much everyone has. Mine are really old. That's why they're not like the pretty round ones that are like gray and stuff. These are really, really old. So they're also durable, right? Like, I don't even know. We've had these for ages. You can get square LED panels. You can get round ones. You can get, you know, whatever you want. Or whatever you already have, as long as it gives off like additional lighting, then that's great. You could even do like 3 salsas. You know, one in each corner.
Wow. You could totally do that as well. And the cool thing too, if you're trying to really light up the backdrop, you can get something that has cables, maybe something that's a little bit more powerful. Because you can slide the cables under the backdrop or like wrap them around or whatever it might be. I still think having the lights in front is going to be helpful, and probably, you know, just be nice for most photos in general. But if you really want to light up the backdrop. And again, a lot of this stuff is, you know, we're talking specifically about green screen, but a lot of this doesn't apply just to green screen either. So having this stuff, none of it is something that you can only use with green screen, right? Now, maybe if we talk about like the bright green pedestal that people lay on to look like they're flying, that one, I don't know, you might not be able to use that again. Maybe. But like just lighting
I have
in general.
Green chair.
That's true.
I mean, I think this would, you know, like a nice
could use that again.
That you can. Exactly.
I think too, if you go to IKEA has a ton of like bright green. I think they actually have a bright green like IKEA couch, or like a cover for their couch or something. So
well, and that's the thing, like you can actually buy so that other green screen I'm staring at over here, because I'm looking at it on the floor underneath this 200-pound mirror that I bought. But you can buy these 12-foot by 12-foot felt green screens, and that's what the traditional green screen was like back in the day, because that felt doesn't produce any reflections from the light. And then you can drape that over whatever you want. So like you could put a normal couch and then just drape it in another green screen. Like you don't have to go out and buy a green couch or a green cube or whatever. You can kind of make it as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Natalie had a question. How much is a subscription per month? So the Salsa for green screen, well, and all the other features that you get, it's $99 a month, because you need to have the pro feature, the pro package, in order to do like all the cool stuff.
But it's not just green screen that you get either with pro. You get green screen, you get glam mode, virtual booth, which I mean, if you want to know about virtual booth, I mean, we've got videos, hours and hours of content on this channel alone. Filters, masks, proposals.
So much.
Yeah, I could go on
So much.
printing for one. I mean, we actually
Yep.
made a video, I think, at the beginning of this year, beginning of 2021, where we talked about all of the stuff that's come out in the last year, and a lot of them are pro features. So that would be hands free. That's another big one too. Yeah. So there's a ton of stuff. We do have, if you go to the Photobooth Supply Co website, just photoboothsupplyco.com, on the top, if you click on app, you can actually see all the pricing and all the differences. And if you've never tried it before, you do get a 30-day free trial as well. And during your 30-day free trial, it's pro. So you can try out all of these features, including green screen, all the things that we talk about. And if you get a yearly subscription, you get 2 months free. So there's that too.
You do. Yes. If you do more than one event a month, you should be on yearly.
Yeah.
Because,
if you do at least one event a month, even just for 10 months, I mean, get yearly. But if you do it, more than, one event a month for 11 months, I mean, you're already coming out ahead. So.
Yep. Yes, definitely. Yearly is the way to go.
Yeah, no, for sure. Daryl says there's chroma key paint if you have a permanent wall to use. That is also true.
Oh.
If you have like a studio.
So this wall actually was green before.
Really?
Yeah, because we painted it for Christmas, and you definitely can. Yeah. If it's like that would be really great for like an Instagram museum. If anyone can like just get their photo booth into like a green Instagram room, like. Can you imagine how cool that would be? Or like,
God, you could change it every day, change it all the time.
Yeah.
Every holiday that comes have a different. God, you could do so much with it. I mean, that's really the cool thing about green screen, and I know you kind of talked about it as well, but you can use this as, if you're just starting out and maybe you don't have a lot of backdrop options, you could always use this as kind of a workaround for the time being. So.
Yeah.
So Robert
I can't read that far away. I don't have my glasses on.
I got you. Robert says, so how would you set the color for the green screen, with all the lights on and then set the color, or with an object in front? Yeah. So you would get basically everything set up, kind of like how Kat has it set up right now. And then you would go in and select the color inside of Salsa, because that really is going to be the color. If you were to choose that color before you have the lights on, it's going to be a slightly different shade of green. It might still work, but just to get it the most accurate, just make sure you have all the lights on. That way, it's for sure going to work.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you want to use the picker with the exact lighting and everything. And if you're set up outside and the sun's setting, then you just have to kind of reset it sometimes. And this is where it's important that if you're outside, I mean, look, I'm a big fan of drop-off booths, but when it comes to doing a drop-off booth with a green screen outside, like, hard pass for me. So I would definitely send that with a person and probably have them reset that green screen. You'll be able to start to see when the green screen goes, right? The sun starts setting, maybe it's hitting your backdrop, that kind of stuff. Just jump back into the settings, hit the green screen button, click on the backdrop again. You're set to go probably for like another hour or so.
Yeah, no, for sure. And again, I mean, that just comes from testing it out, practicing with it.
Yeah.
You should practice and test every single event that you ever make. I can't say that enough. But green screen really is one of those features that, before you use it, it's not because it's hard, but because there are a lot of little things that can really make such a huge difference. So just make sure you're practicing, testing it out, getting really comfortable with it. And again, it's pretty easy, so you should be able to do it pretty quick. But know going in exactly how it works. That always helps. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, play around with it at home, set it up. That's what we used to do to get like content. Yeah. We would just set it up in our living room. Sometimes we would set up a backdrop. Sometimes we wouldn't, we would just use our wall or whatever. Yeah. And then you can just like grab some fun photos in there. Just pick your wall color. Even if the color of your wall is white, just make sure you don't wear white, and then it won't remove your clothing. Not in the way, that way, but
not
in that
way, but yeah. No, that goes for everything too. People are always asking and talking about marketing materials and stuff. And, obviously when you purchase the Salsa booth, you get a ton of marketing material that you can use, but you can also make your own. It's fun too. Like there's nothing more fun than setting up your booth and like getting your friends and family to play with it, especially now that people are getting back together. Invite your friends over for a day. Use every single filter that there is, turn on glam mode and make your own little, make your own sample event, or make your own portfolio of just all the different features, so that when a client asks you, hey, what do your filters look like? You can send them personal examples, and it adds a nice personal touch to it too. They see you, they put a face to the name of your company, and it really does help. So have fun with it too.
Yeah, definitely. And one of my
Cool.
favorite albums is actually from my own birthday party. That was like 5 years ago. But to this day, like I still have those photos all over my house. My friends
Yeah.
have them. Like we use it as a reference all the time because it was like a
Yeah.
black and white booth. We were
Mm,
before our time here in Canada, so
yeah. A
it was
little
pretty
advance
glam.
before,
Yeah.
glam before it was glam booth, right?
Yeah, well, at least in Canada, like glam booth
Yeah.
existed in the States, but we're 5 years behind here. So
Yeah. 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 Well, that's okay. Cool. I don't see any other questions. Anything you want to add before we wrap up?
no, I mean, just play with it, like
Yeah.
even like I said, if you don't have a green screen and you have another color, like put that up, play around with
Yeah.
it, show it off. And if you ever get stuck without a backdrop that like your client really wants this
Mm,
backdrop and you have a green screen, you can just let them know like I can do that using our green screen. So
yeah.
yeah, just play around with it because it's not as daunting and as hard as people think. It
No.
used to be, but
Yeah.
Salsa's really made it really, really easy.
Yeah. And Daryl said it again. A poorly lit green screen looks really bad. So I agree.
Yep.
Practice as much as you can. And that's super true. It's easy to set up, but it's also easy to make it look bad if you don't try it out and practice with it. So
Yep.
Charlie,
Charlie
I can't use the photos for my birthday party. Hey, that just means you had a really good
Okay.
party.
I want to come to your next birthday party.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We won't we promise we won't post the pictures anywhere. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we will be back next week for another live stream. Not 100% sure of the topic yet, actually. So if anybody has any suggestions or requests or anything they want to see, just let us know, and I probably can make that happen unless it's something super crazy. So throw your questions or your suggestions into the comments, or let us know on Facebook or wherever you can get in touch with us. And green screen is great for step and repeats. Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
we talked about that a little bit. And for anybody who doesn't know what that means too, if you wanted to have like a custom backdrop with like a company name on it or anything, you could always do that too, especially when you're talking about corporate events. So
They love to see their logo
yeah,
everywhere.
anywhere they can, on the backdrop,
So
on
bad.
the overlay, everywhere. I mean, or even if
Sometimes
they have like
it's
a
too much.
marketing image. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. But if they have like a marketing image or even a marketing video, maybe they have a new product and they have like a short little clip, you could use that as a backdrop. So
Yeah, the video is so cool. Oh my God. So many cool
Yeah.
things you can do. I always wanted to do an explosion too and then like jump out of the way.
that would be cool. That'd be cool. We've given you guys so many ideas. So if we don't see some of these ideas in
Yeah.
Facebook, man, I don't know. I'm gonna be a little disappointed. So show us
will.
your coolest green screen in the Facebook group. I always love seeing them. It's especially cool when people do something crazy different that you don't normally
Yep.
see. So Kelly says thank you for your time. Absolutely. We're happy to be here.
Thanks for coming, Kelly.
And thanks for hanging out with us. Yeah, it really we do this because you guys like to see them. So as long as you guys keep coming, we'll keep making them. So
Yep. And thanks to everyone who joined
yeah,
as well.
yeah, absolutely. And for talking,
Yeah,
we got a little bit more talkative group
Yep.
today than we did last week. So it's always nice to interact with you guys as well. And as always, if you could subscribe and like the video, that does help us out. You also get notified every time that we are going live. So if you forget that it's a Thursday, like we oftentimes do, because the week just flies by, you'll be reminded. YouTube will say, hey, just a heads up, Photobooth Supply Co. is going live. So you'll be able to get that notification. But thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Thanks, Kat, for being here and for showing off your cool green screen. And we'll be back next week, guys. So thanks again for hanging out.
Bye.